I, 45M, never thought I'd be writing this. My life, which I thought was finally on track, has completely derailed. I'm still in shock, but I need to get this off my chest. Here goes. I've always been the black sheep of my family. Growing up, my younger brother, 42M, was the golden child who could do no wrong. Our parents doted on him, excused his mistakes, and celebrated his minor achievements. Meanwhile, I was constantly criticized, my successes downplayed, and my efforts dismissed. This dynamic continued well into our adult lives. I busted my ass, put myself through college, and climbed the corporate ladder. Now, I'm a senior manager at a Fortune 500 company. My brother, he dropped out of community college, bounced from one failed business venture to another, all funded by our parents' retirement savings. Yet, at every family gathering, he's still the star of the show. 3 years ago, I thought my luck had finally changed. At a work event, I met her, 40 Farads. She was brilliant, kind, and understood my complicated family dynamics. For the first time in my life, I felt truly seen and valued. We hit it off immediately, and our relationship progressed quickly. Last Christmas, I proposed, and she said yes. We were planning our wedding for next summer, and I was on cloud 9. Everything changed last week. I was using her phone to look up a recipe with her permission when a message notification popped up. It was from my brother. Curious, I opened it. What I saw made my blood run cold. "Baby, I can't wait to see you tonight. Don't forget to take your prenatal vitamins. Love you both." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My hands shook as I scrolled up through their message history. It was all there, the secret meetings, the declarations of love, the excitement about the baby. Their affair had been going on for months, right under my nose. When my fiancée came home, I confronted her. She broke down crying, confessing everything. Apparently, it started at our engagement party. My brother had cornered her, told her she was making a mistake marrying me, that he could give her everything I couldn't. One thing led to another, and, well, you know the rest. I was in shock. The two people I trusted most in the world had betrayed me in the worst possible way. I told her to get out, that the wedding was off. She begged me to reconsider, said it was a mistake, that she loved me. But how could I believe anything she said now? The next day, still reeling, I called my brother. I don't even remember half of what I said, but I know there was a lot of yelling and cursing involved. He tried to play it cool at first, saying it was just a drunk mistake, that it didn't mean anything. But when I pressed him, he got defensive. "Well, maybe if you'd been a better fiance, she wouldn't have come to me," he said. I saw red. I hung up before I could say something I'd regret. I took a week off work, barely eating or sleeping, just trying to process what had happened. When I finally worked up the courage to tell my parents, their reaction was like a slap in the face. They weren't angry at my brother or my ex-fiancée. No, they were disappointed in me for not being more understanding. "Your brother is younger than you," my mom said. "He makes mistakes. You should forgive him." "Yeah," my dad chimed in. "And think about the baby. That's your niece or nephew. You can't turn your back on family." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was like I was that little kid again, being told to let my brother win, to be the bigger person. But this wasn't a game. This was my life they were talking about. I left my parents' houses in a daze. Since then, I've been bombarded with calls and messages. My ex-fiancée, begging for another chance. My brother, alternating between half-assed apologies and accusations that I'm overreacting. My parents, demanding that I grow up and make amends. I feel like I'm going crazy. Am I really the one in the wrong here? Should I forgive them and try to move past this for the sake of family harmony? The thought makes me sick to my stomach, but I can't help wondering if I'm being too harsh. I've started looking into therapy, but I'm not sure it'll help. How do you move past something like this? How do you ever trust anyone again? My work is suffering. I can barely concentrate, and I know my colleagues have noticed. There are whispers, sidelong glances. I'm worried I might lose my jobs on top of everything else. I've thought about just packing up and leaving, starting fresh somewhere new. But is running away really the answer? Part of me wants to stay and fight, to make them see how fucked up this whole situation is. But another part of me is so tired, so done with it all. The more I think about it, the more I realize how much this betrayal has affected every aspect of my life. I can't sleep without having nightmares about my brother and ex-fiancée together. I can't eat without feeling nauseous. Every love song on the radio feels like a personal attack. I've stopped going to my favorite coffee shop because that's where I used to meet my ex-fiancée for lunch dates. I've started avoiding my friends too. They mean well, but their attempts at comfort just make me feel worse. There are plenty of fish in the sea, they say. But how can I even think about dating again when the two people I trusted most betrayed me so completely? And besides, at 45, I feel like my chances of starting over, of finding someone to build a life with, are slim to none. The worst part is the constant replaying of memories in my head. Every moment with my ex-fiancée is now tainted. Was she thinking of my brother when we were together? How many times did she lie to my face, telling me she loved me while sneaking around with him? And my brother, all those times he asked about her, was he gathering information for his own twisted purposes? I've started drinking more than I should. It's the only way I can fall asleep without the thoughts overwhelming me. I know it's not healthy, but right now, it feels like the only thing keeping me sane. Work has become a nightmare. I'm constantly on edge, jumping every time my phone rings or an email notification pops up. My boss called me into his office yesterday, concerned about my performance. I couldn't bring myself to tell him the whole story. How do you explain something like this to your colleagues? So I mumbled something about personal issues and promised to do better. But I don't know how I can focus on quarterly reports and projects' deadlines when my entire personal life has imploded. I've been thinking about my childhood a lot lately, all those times I was told to let my brother win, to be the bigger person. It's like my parents were grooming me to be a doormat, to always put my brother's needs before my own. And now, even in this unimaginable situation, they're expecting me to do the same, to forgive and forget, to welcome my cheating brother and ex-fiancée back into my life with open arms. But I can't do it. The thought of seeing them together, of watching her pregnancy progress, knowing it should have been my child she was carrying, it's too much. I feel like I'm drowning in a sea of betrayal and gaslighting. I've started researching therapists in my area. Maybe talking to a professional will help. But part of me is afraid of what they'll say. What if they tell me I'm overreacting too? What if they side with my family and tell me to forgive and forget? The idea of moving to a new city is becoming more and more appealing. My company has offices in several other states. Maybe a fresh start is what I need. Somewhere where no one knows me as the guy whose brother knocked up his fiancée. Somewhere I can rebuild my life without the constant reminders of what I've lost. But then I think about letting them win. If I leave, aren't I just running away, letting them off the hook? Maybe I should stay and fight, force them to face what they've done every day, make them see the pain they've caused. I don't know what to do anymore. I feel lost, betrayed, and alone. Any advice would be appreciated. How do I even begin to move forward from this? The other day, I ran into a mutual friend at the grocery store. She didn't know about the situation and asked how the wedding planning was going. I froze, not knowing what to say. In the end, I mumbled something about the wedding being off and hurried away. I could feel her confused stare burning into my back as I left. It made me realize that I'm going to have to face these awkward encounters over and over again. How do I even begin to explain this mess to people? I've been having panic attacks, something I've never experienced before. They come out of nowhere, in the middle of a meeting, while I'm driving, even in the shower. Suddenly, I can't breathe. My heart races, and I feel like I'm dying. It's terrifying, and it's just one more way this situation has upended my life. I've started going to the gym more, trying to channel some of my anger and frustration into something productive. But even there, I can't escape. The other day, I saw a couple working out together, laughing and spotting each other. It hit me like a ton of bricks. That should have been us. My ex-fiancé and I used to talk about joining a gym together, about staying healthy as we grew old. Now that future is gone, shattered by betrayal. I've been thinking about the future a lot. I always saw myself growing old with someone, maybe having kids. Now, I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to trust someone enough to build a life with them. The thought of being alone for the rest of my life is terrifying, but the idea of opening myself up to this kind of pain again is even worse. My parents have started showing up at my apartment unannounced. They stand outside, ringing the doorbell, calling my name. I've taken to turning off all the lights and pretending I'm not home. It feels childish, but I can't face them right now. Their blind support of my brother, their expectation that I should just forgive and forget, it's too much to bear. I've started having these vivid daydreams about confronting my brother and ex-fiancé. In my mind, I say all the perfect things, make them understand the depth of their betrayal, watch as guilt and remorse wash over their faces. But I know that in reality, it wouldn't go like that. They'd probably just make more excuses, try to shift the blame onto me somehow. The isolation is starting to get to me. I've always been independent, but now I feel truly alone. I catch myself talking to the TV, to the plants in my apartment, just to hear a voice that isn't the one in my head, constantly replaying the betrayal. I've thought about reaching out to my ex-fiancé's family. They've always been kind to me, and part of me wonders if they know what's happened. But then I think, what if they're on her side? What if they think I did something to drive her into my brother's arms? I don't think I could handle that kind of rejection right now. Sometimes, in my darkest moments, I think about how easy it would be to just disappear. Not in a permanent way, but to just pack a bag, get in my car, and drive. No destination in mind, just away from here, away from all of this. But I know that's not a real solution. My problems would still be waiting for me when I got back. I keep waiting to wake up, for this all to be some horrible nightmare. But every morning, I open my eyes and the reality crashes down on me all over again. How do you move forward when your entire world has been turned upside down? How do you rebuild when the foundation of your life has been shattered? I guess that's why I'm here, pouring my heart out to strangers on the internet. Because right now, you all feel more like family than the people who are supposed to love and support me. So if you've read this far, thank you. And if you have any advice, any words of wisdom, I'm all ears. Because right now, I'm lost, and I don't know how to find my way back. Wow, I didn't expect this post to blow up like it has. Thank you all for your support and advice. I'm overwhelmed by the responses, and it's going to take me some time to read through all the comments. However, I wanted to address some common questions. Yes, I've spoken to a lawyer about a restraining order against my family. It's in progress. Though I'm not planning on having any contact with the baby, I know it's not the kid's fault. I just can't be involved without losing my sanity. For those asking about my job, I've already spoken to HR about the situation. They're aware and supportive. They've increased security at the front desk and given me the option to work from home more often. I'm grateful for their understanding. Many of you have asked if I've considered moving to another city or state. It's definitely something I'm thinking about. My company has offices in several other cities, so a transfer might be possible. I'm weighing the pros and cons. To those suggesting DNA tests, my ex-fiancé admitted to the affair, and the timeline matches up. I have no reason to believe the child isn't my brother's. Even if by some miracle it turned out to be mine, I'm not sure I could ever look at that child without thinking of this betrayal. I've been overwhelmed by the number of people sharing similar stories. It's heartbreaking to know how common this kind of betrayal is, but it's also oddly comforting to know I'm not alone. Thank you all for your vulnerability in sharing. To the person who asked if I've considered legal action against my brother for alienation of affection, I looked into it, but unfortunately it's not recognized in my state. Even if it were, I'm not sure I have the energy for a legal battle right now. Several people have pointed out that my brother's behavior sounds narcissistic. I've started reading about narcissistic personality disorder, and a lot of it rings true. It's helping me understand, though not excuse, some of his actions. For those asking about my ex-fiancé's family, they're as shocked and disgusted as you'd expect. They've cut contact with her and have reached out to offer their support to me. It's a small comfort, but I appreciate it. To the person who asked if I've thought about having kids of my own someday, honestly, this whole experience has made me question whether I want to have a family at all. But I'm trying not to make any big decisions while I'm still processing everything. I'll update if anything significant happens, but for now, I'm focusing on healing and moving forward. Thanks again, Reddit. You've helped more than you know. Your support and advice have given me a lot to think about and have honestly been a lifeline during this difficult time. Update 1. It's been 2 weeks since my original post, and I can't believe how much has happened. Thank you all for your support and advice. It's been a lifeline during this nightmare. I took your advice and spoke to a lawyer about getting a restraining order against my family. We filed the paperwork, and a hearing was scheduled last week. My parents showed up with their own lawyer, trying to paint me as the unstable one. They claimed I was tearing the family apart over a simple misunderstanding. The judge, thankfully, wasn't buying it. She granted the restraining order against my brother and parents, but not without drama. My mother burst into tears in the courtroom, and my father glared at me like I'd just committed murder. As we were leaving, my brother tried to approach me. My lawyer stepped between us, reminding him of the order. My brother just sneered and said this wasn't over, that I couldn't hide behind a piece of paper forever. The workplace situation has been another nightmare. Last week, my mother showed up at my office, causing a scene in the lobby. She brought a photo album and was showing my coworkers baby pictures of my brother and me, sobbing about how close we used to be. I had to have security escort her out, and then spend an hour doing damage control with my boss and coworkers. But the real drama happened at the gym. I was working out when I heard my brother's voice behind me. He started running his mouth, loud enough for everyone to hear. I told him to leave before I called the cops, but he just laughed, saying he'd tell them I'd been threatening him and my ex-fiancée. That's when I lost it. I swung at him, my fist connecting with his jaw. We ended up on the floor, trading blows until the staff pulled us apart. As I was driving home, still shaking with adrenaline, I got a call from my ex-fiancée. She was screaming about how I had broken my brother's nose and he might need surgery. I laughed. I couldn't help it. The absurdity of her being angry at me after everything they'd done was just too much. I told her I was sorry if I hurt her little boyfriend. You know, the one she'd been sleeping with behind my back for months. She started sobbing then, going on about how stressed she was and how the baby could sense her distress. I hung up on her and blocked the number. The fallout from the fight was intense. News spread like wildfire through our social circle. My phone was blowing up with texts from friends and family members, some taking my side, others calling me names for hitting my poor defenseless brother. The legal aftermath has been a nightmare. My brother filed assault charges against me. I explained to my lawyer what had happened, how my brother had violated the restraining order and provoked me. My lawyer said we'd fight it, but it might be an uphill battle, given that I threw the first punch. We're in the process of filing our own charges against my brother for violating the restraining order. The gym has banned both my brother and me for life. I can't say I blame them, but it sucks that the gym was one of the few places I felt like I could let out some of my anger in a healthy way. My cousin called me the other day. She told me some of what's been going on behind the scenes. Apparently, my parents have been telling everyone that I'm having some kind of mental breakdown. They're saying that my ex-fiancée and my brother's relationship only started after my ex and I had broken up, and that I'm just jealous and can't let go. It's infuriating knowing that they're out there spreading lies about me while I'm trying to keep my head down and heal. My cousin called me the other day. She told me some of what's been going on behind the scenes. Apparently, my parents have been telling everyone that I'm having some kind of mental breakdown. They're saying that my ex-fiancé and my brother's relationship only started after my ex and I had broken up, and that I'm just jealous and can't let go. It's infuriating knowing that they're out there spreading lies about me while I'm trying to keep my head down and heal. Surprisingly, I found support from an unexpected source, my ex-fiancé's younger sister. She reached out to apologize for her sister's actions and has been keeping me updated on what's happening. Apparently, my ex and brother have moved in together and are playing happy family. My ex is trying to paint herself as the victim, crying to anyone who'll listen about how she never meant to hurt anyone and how she and my brother are soulmates. The social media situation has been another nightmare. Someone posted about our gym fight on a local Facebook group, and the comments section turned into a battleground. I've since deactivated most of my social media accounts. I can't deal with the constant messages from people I haven't talked to in years, suddenly wanting to know all the details of my personal life. With everything that's happened, I've realized I can't stay in this city anymore. I've started looking into transfers within my company. There's an opening in our Seattle office that looks promising. I haven't made any final decisions yet, but the idea of a fresh start is becoming more and more appealing. A new city where no one knows me as the guy whose brother knocked up his fiancée. My ex has been spreading news about her pregnancy everywhere. She tells me she's constantly posting updates on social media, ultrasound pictures, belly shots, the works. Always with captions about how blessed she and my brother are, and how excited they are to start their family. Each new piece of information feels like a fresh wound, reopening the hurt just when I think I'm starting to heal. So that's where things stand now. 2 weeks ago, I thought my life couldn't get any more messed up, but somehow it has. I'm still angry, I'm still hurt, but I'm also tired. Tired of defending myself, tired of being the bad guy in everyone else's story. I'm not even sure what I'm asking for at this point. Advice, sympathy, a time machine so I can go back and never introduce my ex to my brother. Whatever happens next, I'll try to keep you all updated. Your support has meant more to me than you can know. It's good to be reminded that there are still good people out there, even when it feels like my whole world is full of betrayal and lies. Update 2. It's been about a week since my last post, and I can't believe how much has happened. Thank you all for the overwhelming support and advice. The restraining order situation turned into an ordeal. My parents showed up to the hearing with their own lawyer, trying to paint me as unstable. The judge, thankfully, granted the order against my brother and parents. As we were leaving, my brother tried to approach me. My lawyer stepped between us, reminding him of the order. My brother sneered and said this wasn't over. The workplace situation came to a head last week. My mother showed up at my office, causing a scene in the lobby with a photo album. I had security escort her out and spent an hour doing damage control with my boss and coworkers. But the real drama happened at the gym. I was working out when I heard my brother's voice. He started running his mouth, loud enough for everyone to hear. I told him to leave before I called the cops, but he just laughed, saying he'd tell them I'd been threatening him and my ex-fiancée. That's when I lost it. I swung at him, and we ended up on the floor, trading blows until the staff pulled us apart. The fallout was intense. My ex-fiancée called, screaming about how I'd broken my brother's nose. News spread through our social circle, with people taking sides. My brother filed assault charges against me, and now we're in a legal mess. My lawyer says we'll fight it, but it might be tough since I threw the first punch. We're also filing charges against my brother for violating the restraining order. The gym banned both of us for life. I can't blame them, but it sucks to lose one of the few places where I could let out my anger in a healthy way. Work has been challenging too. My boss called me in and suggested I take a paid leave of absence until things settle down. I agreed, even though work was one of the few things keeping me sane. With everything that's happened, I've realized I can't stay in this city anymore. I've started looking into transfers within my company. There's an opening in our Seattle office that looks promising. I called my boss that same night and told him I wanted to take the transfer. He seemed relieved and promised to fast-track the paperwork. By the next morning, it was official. I have 2 weeks to pack up my life and move across the country. The news of my move spread quickly. My parents, predictably, were furious. They showed up at my apartment unannounced, again violating the restraining order, to try and talk me out of it. My mom was crying about abandoning the family, while my dad was yelling about how I was being selfish. I didn't engage. I just called the police and had them removed for violating the restraining order. My brother's reaction was different. He put up a long post on social media about how some people can't handle seeing others happy, and how he and my ex-fiancée were rising above the hate to focus on their new family. It was clearly aimed at me, trying to paint himself as the victim. It stung to see how many people supported him, but I reminded myself that their opinion doesn't matter. My cousin offered to help me pack. She even told me more about what's been happening with the family. Apparently, my aunt had a big blow-up with my mom, calling her out for always favoring my brother and pushing me away. The legal situation is still ongoing, but my lawyer assures me that my move won't affect anything. We're still pressing charges against my brother for violating the restraining order and fighting the assault charges he filed against me. My lawyer seems confident that the judge will see through my brother's claims. As I pack up my apartment, I can't help but reflect on how much my life has changed in such a short time. Just a few months ago, I was engaged and planning my future. Now, I'm single, estranged from my family, and about to move to a city where I don't know anyone. It's scary, but also oddly freeing. For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm making a decision entirely for myself, not to please my parents or to keep the peace with my brother. I'm choosing my own happiness and well-being over the toxic family dynamics I've been trapped in for so long. I've started seeing a therapist to help me process everything that's happened. It's only been a few sessions, but it's already helping me gain some perspective. She's helping me understand that it's okay to feel angry and hurt, but also that I need to find healthy ways to express those feelings. One of the hardest things has been dealing with the constant reminders of my ex-fiancé and brother's betrayal. Every time I see a happy couple or a pregnant woman, it's like a knife to the gut. I keep thinking about the future I thought I was going to have, the children I thought we'd raise together. It's hard to let go of those dreams, but I'm trying to focus on the future. I've been researching Seattle, looking at apartments online, checking out the local scene. It's helping me feel excited about the move, rather than just seeing it as an escape. I'm thinking about taking up hiking, or maybe learning to sail, something to help me embrace the Pacific Northwest lifestyle. I've also been thinking a lot about my career. This whole experience has made me realize how much I've been coasting, just doing what was expected of me. Maybe this is a chance to really pursue something I'm passionate about. I'm considering taking some classes once I'm settled in Seattle, maybe even a complete career change. The hardest part is knowing that I'm leaving behind the few family members who have supported me through this. My cousin has been amazing, and I'm going to miss her terribly. We've talked about her coming to visit once I'm settled, and I'm already looking forward to that. As for my parents and brother, I don't know what the future holds. Part of me hopes that this separation will be a wake-up call for them, that they'll realize how their behavior has driven me away. But I'm also preparing myself for the possibility that this might be the end of our relationship. It's painful, but I'm starting to accept that I might be better off without them in my life. I'm not sure if I'll post any more updates after this. Part of starting fresh means leaving the past behind, and as helpful as this community has been, I think it's time for me to step away from rehashing this story. I need to focus on building my new life, not dwelling on the old one. So I guess this is it. My final update. Wish me luck, Reddit. I've got a whole new life waiting for me in Seattle, and I intend to make the most of it. Thank you all for your support and advice. Your kindness has meant more than you can know.